We've covered the history of the Walt Disney Company extensively on the That Park Place network, but it's important to remember just how Disney got to this point and when exactly they started losing their audience, such as what decisions were ultimately made and how it all went wrong. Let's take a step back and talk about just what exactly went wrong with the Walt Disney Company here on That Park Place Podcast Online, or as we like to call it, T3PO.
Just quit. How are they doing in 2020 and 2021 during the lockdowns? That's when Disney Plus, right? That's when the stock soared under Bob Chapek.
That's when everybody soared.
Right. So
nobody had anything.
Maybe they just thought the lockdowns were going to last longer.
I think that's what all the big companies are doing. Just slightly going to like a sister industry, but like video games, right? During lockdown, all of those services exploded. PSN, Xbox Live, Xbox Game Pass.
Because everybody was stuck at home.
Yeah. Right. But all those companies went, oh, this is going to last forever. Buy everything. Sell, grow.
And that's kind of the point I was making.
Disney slowed down construction at the parks because they said, well, we don't know when we're going to have people in here again. Let's spend less money right now when things are tight. And then, whoops, if you're going to build it 6 years from now instead of now, it's going to cost 10 times as much because inflation over those 6 years is going to... The cost of building materials, the cost of labor, everything is going to go up.
Let me lay this out there, and you tell me what you think about it, okay? You guys tell me, because here's what I think happened. Disney was on track to catch Netflix around 2020, 2021. I think they had a shot at Netflix. So the stock soars. You've got Chapek sitting there on a stock that's valued at $200 per share. Then Bob Iger, which I think Chapek was always intended to be the fall guy. And so when this happens, that's not what was supposed to play out. And so then you have Bob Iger, who is still, by the way, working for Disney at that point as a consultant. But he begins, I think, to subvert Bob Chapek, right? He begins to do these things in the background that put Disney into a political position and forces Chapek's hand on things such as the Florida legislation. The walkouts begin. They've got the Mickey glove in a fist right on Twitter, organizing all of this. We find out that a lot of the Iger adjacent leadership is behind some of this. And eventually they get Chapek out. They force him out, and they do so using all of this partisanship and political fighting and all that. But as a part of getting rid of Chapek, they've now put the company into such a partisan place that it cost them any chance of ever catching Netflix. It cost them any chance of maintaining their brand loyalty and brand appreciation in the public. And so I would say is the cost was insane to get rid of Bob Chapek. Far too expensive than they should have ever paid, which was the destruction of the brand.
I was too naive to understand that a lot of the I think Bob Iger just thought all the public were pixie dusters, right? They'll all just overlook all this stuff. He underestimated his audience.
But a couple things about that. First of all, when the lockdowns finally ended, there was pent up demand that they said, "Oh boy, people are coming back in droves. Let's bump the prices even further and cut back on the services, and it won't matter." But that was short-lived. Once all those people got over their post-COVID euphoria, looked at their own financial statements, looked at their own small businesses, and said, "I don't think we can go every year or twice a year. I think we've got to go every 3 or 4 or 5 years, even if we still like it and it's still worth the money." And then when they did go the next time, it wasn't as good and it was more money. But there's a bigger number here. There is a much bigger number here. And it all goes back to that, what happened in the aftermath of pushing Chapek into something he didn't want to do and making it political. If you think however $100 billion, trillion you think they've lost in streaming, it's a spit in the ocean compared to the cost of the end of Reedy Creek and the inception of Sif Todd.
Oh my, yes.
Andrew has estimated what, $1 trillion?
$1 trillion
and that
loss.
Doesn't include the cost of any legal or civil or criminal actions or settlements or whatever.
All the settlements.
That's just an increased cost of doing business because, oh my gosh, we actually have to get building permits. Oh my gosh, we actually have to have OSHA inspections. Oh my gosh, we actually have to act Like somehow Universal's able to act and still build epic universe according to code and according to regulations that everybody else in the whole damn state and the whole damn country follows. Sorry, guys, but that's the big error. Compared to that, Disney Plus is a subsidiary screw up. I'm sorry, it just is.
No, I totally agree with you. Panel, any other thoughts on this cultural battle that destroyed Disney?
Was you said that there's no hope of Disney catching up to Netflix, and I think that's true.
Oh no, not anymore.
Well, right. There. I think that's true, but like in a cultural zeitgeist, reputational sense, but in a financial sense, let's not forget that Netflix paid for Rebel Moon, and they have this like $300 million Russo brother film coming out. Like,
but they're not paying for 12 of them in the same year.
You can't merchandise Rebel Moon. Just nobody wants it.
MGM in its prime in the 30s and the 40s didn't make all hits. Some of them lost money. They had good stars. They had good actors. They had good directors, writers. But you win some, you lose some. Everybody knows that in the movie business. But when your policies dictate, rather than your best intention of making a hit, you start losing on all of them at once.
I'll tell you, I think that Netflix, after their movie that we really don't even want to say the name of it, but it starts with a C and ends with Ooties. After that movie, I think Netflix learned a very valuable lesson, and that was that those sorts of endeavors have the chance to tank the entire company, and they might not want to do it again. They might have misses, but they're not missing on content aimed at children, where parents are hoping to sit the child down and not have anything put into the child's mind that the parent would want to avoid. And the damage that was done to Disney when Christopher Rufo brought out those videos, which, here we have the Bo DiMaio situation all over again. But, these videos talking about the not so secret agenda, that did such damage to Disney to have that out there. And Disney's the one who was doing it. Those were, by the way, remember, that was part of those videos where Bob Chapek looks like he's a hostage. And he's, talking about how he's learned his lesson. And that was all.
Blink, so red in those videos. He looks right. He looks like a tomato.
Yeah, Blink.
Nick, don't you think WW Pro talked about that Disney Plus was about to catch Netflix in 2021, and that's largely due to The Mandalorian and the interest in Star Wars that was generated by The Mandalorian. Most people coming in, most people subscribing, women, men, young, old. It was about The Mandalorian. Your thoughts, Nick?
Yeah. Oh, that was the big thing. Like that was the big draw that brought the subscribers in. Was Mando, but they completely squandered that.
They didn't recognize that. They didn't honor that. They could have honored it. What do you think? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, they completely squandered it. We ended up right after that great ending for season 2 of Mando. We got the disastrous Book of Boba Fett. Then we got the disastrous Kenobi show, the boring Andor show. Then finally we get Mando season 3, and it ends up being trash. The worst season out of all of them.
What about Ahsoka? Wait.
Then we end up getting Ahsoka. So it's just been one zombie after another. And it's like you cannot sustain this IP on the streaming service with this kind of quality of material. Like nobody is liking this. I mean, they have to be, but it doesn't seem like they're really getting it. It seems like they're more interested in the messaging and.
Well, if that trailer for Acolyte is any indication, I'll say.
Oh yeah,
but Matt and Nick, here's the thing: what you both said about how Mando did that against the headwinds of all the bad features before it. Mm-hmm. People who had given up and said, "Oh God, they're ruining it; it's going down." And then they heard, "Hey, maybe this Mando thing is good," and they overcame an already existing resistance to believing in it again. And then they doubled down and really slapped him in the face. What's that old thing? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Well, that's what happened there. It was a triple whammy. Everything that was bad about those shows after Mando was worse because they had basically fooled people. They felt they had suckered them in with Mando.
Now, here's something to think about, guys, as we go to Super Chats. Talking about the Disney stock, talking about, the Disney stock is basically half of what it was under Bob Chapek. And You look at Disney Plus, not going to catch Netflix ever now, basically, not for the foreseeable future. All of these things changed when they jettisoned Gina Carano and when they blew up the roadmap that Jon Favreau had given them for Star Wars. So shareholders, if you're out there and you're angry, maybe it's Kathleen Kennedy who took your cash. Maybe it's Bob Iger who took your Disney bucks. And maybe the culture war was not such a great thing to enter into if you were Disney. Seems like it cost a lot of people a lot of money. And the heartache that the folks out there who love these franchises feel is shared by the investors who have it in their wallets and their rears. And I'll tell you this, here's one more thing to say before we go to the super chats. I would suggest that the folks out there who say, well, if you don't like it, you can leave. They're too late. It already happened.
That highlight was from our live stream on the WDW Pro channel, where the full stream is available to members, so be sure to become one today. But what did you think about this discussion? When exactly did the Walt Disney Company start losing their way and have their actions affected your view of them? And if your outlook has changed, what action specifically altered your viewpoint? Please let us know in the comments below. Be sure to like this video if you did like this video. Share us out as it helps the channel tremendously. And thank you so much for watching T3PO. Please comment, like, and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe to That Park Place Podcasts Online, your source for exclusive content and highlights from WDW Pro, The Pro Show, and That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.